Hey everyone. Ever feel like casual English conversations have their own secret code? Like there's some hidden rule book you missed?
Totally. I know that feeling.
Well, we're cracking that code today. We're doing a deep dive into an outline from a podcast called English Talk Time.
It's like their episode outline is our cheat sheet for how to sound natural when you're speaking English.
Exactly. And our guides this time are the hosts of that podcast.
Emma and Jake, they have some really awesome strategies to share.
Yeah, they really do. What I like is they don't just give you phrases.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
They explain like why we say those things, which helps you sound more natural. So you don't sound like a robot just repeating stuff.
Right, like you're actually understanding the conversation instead of just memorizing.
Yes. So their very first tip is about the greeting, how's it going?
Okay.
And they suggest responding with, I'm good, I'm fine, or even just good.
Super simple.
I know, right? But then they point out this thing that native speakers do without even thinking about it.
What's that?
They link the words how's it and going together when they say it.
Oh, so it's more like how's it going?
Yes,
Yeah.
Exactly. It's that smooth kind of flow that makes you sound so much more natural.
It's like a little secret handshake.
It really is.
Okay.
So now you've nailed the greeting. What comes next?
Introductions.
Yes. I find those can be awkward, even in my own language sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. You never know what to say.
Right. But Emma and Jake have this sample introduction where they say their name, where they're from, and like a couple hobbies.
Oh, that's nice. It's simple, but it gives you a starting point.
Yeah. And what's interesting is how those little details can be like conversation starters.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like if you say, I like hiking, the other person could be like, oh, me too. Where do you like to hike?
Exactly. So it's not just about listing facts.
You're giving the other person ways to connect with you.
And they also mentioned something really important about different cultures.
Oh, like what?
Like in some cultures, it's normal to ask about someone's family right away when you meet them.
Mm-hmm.
But they point out that in North America, it's more common to start by asking about interests.
That makes sense. I can see how that would be confusing if you're not used to it.
Totally. So you're kind of getting this insider's view on how to avoid those awkward moments.
And just chat more naturally with people from different cultures.
Exactly. Okay, so we've greeted each other. We've introduced ourselves.
What's next?
Talking about hobbies.
Yeah, hobbies. Everyone's got them.
And they keep the language super accessible here. They use phrases like, I like and I enjoy, followed by whatever the hobby is.
Oh, that's easy. So you could say, I like painting, or I enjoy playing video games.
Exactly. You don't need to use fancy vocabulary to have a normal conversation.
Makes it feel much less intimidating, for sure.
I think so, too. And they add in a pronunciation tip here, too.
Ooh, what's that?
They emphasize how important your rhythm and intonation are when you speak.
Oh, yeah. Like how your voice goes up and down.
Right. And it can change the meaning of what you're saying.
That's so cool. I never really thought about that before.
It can make a big difference. Okay, let's move on to daily routines. This is something we all do, right?
Yeah, we're all creatures of habit.
Totally. So Emma and Jake use this example. In the morning, I usually make coffee and read the news. In the afternoon, I work, and in the evening, I relax and watch TV.
Sounds pretty typical. I can relate to that.
Right. It's very relatable. And what I thought was interesting was how they point out the importance of including those little details.
Oh, you mean like saying in the morning or in the evening?
Yeah. It makes the conversation flow better.
Yeah.
And it gives the listener a clearer picture of what you're talking about.
That's a good point. It's not just I work. It's I work in the afternoon.
Exactly. And they also highlight this word usually.
Oh, yeah. Usually is like my go-to word.
Me too. It's so useful when you're talking about your day.
It makes you sound less like a robot.
I know, right? It shows that your schedule isn't set in stone and like you might do something different on the weekend.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered greetings, introductions, hobbies, and even daily routines. I'm noticing a trend here.
Me too. What do you see?
Well, it seems like they're really emphasizing cultural differences.
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about learning words.
It's about understanding the context.
Yeah.
And how to use those words in different situations.
You're getting this insider knowledge that can help you avoid misunderstandings and make better connections with people.
That's so important, especially in today's world where we're interacting with people from all different backgrounds.
I agree. I think this is a great place to take a break, and we'll pick up the conversation next time.
Sounds good. I'm excited to hear what else they have to say. I feel like we're gathering all these tools to help us have better conversations.
Yeah. Like building a toolbox.
Yeah.
But instead of hammers and screwdrivers, we have phrases and cultural tips.
Exactly. And speaking of tools, Emma and Jake give some really helpful advice at the end of their episode.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
They talk about the importance of practicing these little conversations every day.
Makes sense.
Like, it doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming thing. You don't have to become fluent overnight.
Small steps.
Right. Just make a little effort every day, and it builds up over time.
It's like learning an instrument or a sport or anything, really.
Totally. You wouldn't expect to be a pro after just one practice session.
And they also say to start with easy phrases, speak slowly, and focus on your pronunciation.
Oh, yeah. That's such good advice. It's like building a house. You got to have a good foundation.
Exactly. You know what I really like about Emma and Jake's approach?
What's that?
They give you all this information, but they're also super encouraging.
They make you feel like you can actually do it.
I know, right? It's not just about the rules and the grammar.
They want you to enjoy speaking English and actually use it to connect with people.
Yeah, that's so important. You know, when we were talking about cultural nuances earlier, it got me thinking
About
other situations where understanding the culture is really important for conversations.
Yeah, like what?
Well, one thing that comes to mind is humor.
Oh, yeah. What's funny in one culture might not be funny at all in another.
Totally. And sometimes it could even be offensive.
It's like there's this whole secret language you have to learn to understand the jokes.
I know. And it's not just about the words.
It's also about how you say it, the timing, the facial expressions.
It's all part of it. Oh, and you know what else can be tricky?
What?
Body language.
Oh, yeah, like eye contact.
Exactly. In some cultures, it's polite to make eye contact when you're talking to someone.
But in other cultures, it can be seen as rude or aggressive.
So you really have to be aware of those differences.
It shows that you're paying attention and respecting the other person's culture.
I love how we're connecting these ideas back to those everyday conversations.
It's not just about the language itself. It's about being a good communicator and understanding the cultural context.
So as we continue our deep dive into this outline, let's keep that in mind.
It's not just about being fluent. It's about being culturally intelligent, too.
Love it. You know, Emma and Jake have really created something special with their podcast.
They've managed to explain some pretty complex ideas in a way that's easy to understand.
And they've reminded us that learning a language can actually be fun.
It's about connecting with people and exploring different cultures.
I think that's a perfect segue to the final part of our deep dive.
Can't wait.
It's funny, we often think about learning a new language like it's this giant mountain to climb.
I know, right? Super overwhelming.
But Emma and Jake have broken it down into these little steps you can actually take.
They show you that you don't have to know everything to have a good conversation.
And it's about celebrating those small wins. Like, remember how they talked about linking how's it and going?
Oh, yeah, like a tiny detail that makes a big difference.
Exactly. It makes you sound more like a native speaker.
It's like they're sharing those little secrets that unlock the fluency code.
And it's those small wins that keep you motivated.
Right. It's like you're leveling up your English skills one conversation at a time.
I love that. So as we wrap up our deep dive into this outline, I want to leave you with a question.
Okay, I'm ready.
What's one thing you can do today to put what we've learned into practice?
That's a good one.
Maybe it's practicing a new phrase or trying to have a conversation in English.
Even if it's just ordering a coffee or asking for directions.
Those little interactions add up. And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Oh, yeah, totally. Mistakes are how we learn.
Exactly. So keep practicing, keep exploring, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Yes. English should be enjoyable, not a chore.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a blast. Until next time, keep those conversations flowing.